What is the Global South and how can it lead to the overthrow of the New World Order? Offering an alternative order of things, the Global South, a broad group of nations including much of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, emerged from the depths of obscurity to show its strength amid the Ukrainian crisis, refusing to bend to the will of Western rich countries. How is the Global South defined and which nations qualify? Academic and public interest in the term Global South has grown over the past year and a half amid the fundamental transformations seen in the global politics, military, and economic order during the ongoing NATO-Russia proxy war in Ukraine and the effort under the U.S. leadership to limit China's growing global economic power and geopolitical influence. As South Africa prepares to host dozens of leaders from Africa and other countries of the Global South at the BRICS Summit in Johannesburg next week, the U.S. business media has sounded the alarm over the growing refusal of the Global South to toe its line, Washington in the policy against Russia or in the confrontation with China. Instead, many have shown an increasing readiness and ability to act as dominant and independent actors on the world stage. What is the Global South? Well, how is it defined? The term Global South first emerged during the Cold War to refer to the wide economic divisions between wealthier, generally industrialized northern nations and developing countries of the South, many of which until the 1960s and 70s remained part of the Western European colony or continued to submit to Western neocolonialism. Broadly speaking, the Global South refers to lower income countries or nations with a relatively low level of socioeconomic and industrial development compared to the wealthier northern nations. Which countries are in the Global South? Most modern maps showing the divide between the nations of the Global North and Global South are of the area along the Tropic of Cancer with Mexico and much of the Caribbean, South America, most, if not all, of Africa, the Middle East, Central, East, and Southern Asia, except Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. All these countries are referred to as members of the Global South. The Global South accounts for over 85% of the world's population and close to 40% of the global GDP. The vast majority of nations in the so-called Global South have refrained from imposing sanctions on Moscow. Is China a member and is Turkey a member? Some nations, including China and Turkey, still identify with the Global South, and such an identification is believed to help differentiate them from the West, which will help create a new political and economic associations based on sense of solidarity and belonging. And what is the voice of the Global South Summit? In January 2023, India hosted the first Voice of the Global South Summit, a virtual forum which Delhi described as a common platform to discuss concerns, interests, and priorities affecting developing countries, and also to exchange ideas and solutions, and most importantly, to unite with voice and purpose in addressing common concerns and priorities. The summit was a success, with representatives from around 125 countries participating, making the meeting the largest digital conference of leaders and ministers from the developing world ever convened, according to India's Foreign Ministry. While the future potential of the Indian-led initiative is yet to be seen, it's perhaps the most significant effort since the founding of the non-aligned movement in 1961 to create a bloc-independent grouping of nations of the Global South in the 21st century. And the map of participants in the Voice of Global South Summit, hosted by India in January 2023, list of participants including most of the countries traditionally associated with the Global South except for China and Pakistan. What future can await the Global South? The continued rise of the BRICS bloc, which includes 4 nations of the Global South, Brazil, India, China, and South Africa, plus Russia, a non-Western member of the Global North, seeking to lay the foundations of a multipolar world, rightly so. It gives hope that the current socioeconomic imbalance and inequities between North and South can gradually be resolved through the emergence of alternatives to Western institutions and blocs to facilitate and develop the development and independence of the South. At the same time, growing concerns in Western countries about the rise of alternative power centers in the developing world suggests that the transition from unipolarity led by the United States and its allies to multipolarity will be met by the West, which will use whatever means it has at its disposal to prevent this from happening. So, how is it going to prevent it from happening? This is translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.